There's a version of you that doesn't flinch. Someone can criticize, ignore, insult, or disrespect you, and you remain unmoved, like a mountain in a storm. That version of you exists. And by the end of this video, you'll understand how to become that person. Not cold, not numb, not detached from life, but free from the power that other people and external circumstances have over your emotional state. Think about the most unshakable person you've ever met. They don't lose their composure when challenged. They don't spiral when something goes wrong. They move through situations that would emotionally wreck most people and emerge almost untouched. What do they understand that the rest of us don't? Most of us wake up and immediately surrender control. We scroll through the news and become irritated. A coworker sends a passive-aggressive email and our energy collapses. Someone cuts us off in traffic and we carry the anger into our next meeting, our next conversation, and eventually our home. We're being pulled around by invisible strings. We just call it having a bad day. But here is the truth that changes everything. You are not simply reacting to the world. You are reacting to something inside yourself. Once you truly understand that, people and circumstances begin to lose their power over you. Stay until the end, because I'll give you a simple practice that brings everything together. Carl Jung spent much of his career trying to understand why people suffer. He didn't look only at difficult circumstances, cruel people, or bad luck. He looked inward. Jung believed that powerful emotional reactions often reveal something unresolved within us. He called this hidden territory the shadow. The shadow contains the wounds, fears, insecurities, desires, and rejected parts of ourselves that we've pushed into the unconscious because we didn't want to face them. But those buried parts don't disappear. They surface whenever someone presses the right emotional nerve. Imagine that someone calls you lazy. If the word rolls off you, it has no hook. It has attached itself to an old doubt, fear, or story you already carry. One shrugs. The other thinks about it for 3 days. The difference isn't merely in the words. It's in what those words touch. It tells you to toughen up, ignore negativity, or grow a thicker skin. But that can become suppression rather than freedom. It's armor, and armor is heavy. Real freedom comes from understanding your triggers so thoroughly that they begin to lose their grip. Instead of demanding that the world stop provoking you, you become curious about your reaction. You ask, what is this touching inside me? When you stop running from your emotional reactions and start examining them, something remarkable happens. They begin to weaken. There's also a paradox here. The more you need the world to behave a certain way, the more control the world has over you. The moment you need someone's approval, that person owns a piece of your peace. The moment you need a particular outcome, that outcome begins controlling your emotional state. You may think you're trying to control the world. In reality, your need for control is allowing the world to control you. Truly unshakable people haven't eliminated every difficult person or avoided every setback. They've learned to master their perception. A rejection doesn't automatically mean you're inadequate. A failure doesn't mean you're finished. A stranger's rudeness says nothing definitive about your worth. Events happen. Then we assign meaning to them. When you recognize that distinction, you gain the power to choose a different meaning. Before we continue, subscribe to the channel if these psychological and philosophical ideas speak to you. We explore practical ways to develop self-knowledge, emotional strength, and genuine freedom every week. So how do you turn this idea into a lived reality? You begin with what we might call the observer shift. During an emotional reaction, most people don't merely feel angry, they become anger. They don't experience anxiety, they temporarily become anxiety. The practice of becoming psychologically untouchable is learning to step back just far enough to observe the emotion without being consumed by it. Imagine a violent storm. The wind is screaming and lightning is striking. The storm is real and intense, but above it, the sky remains undisturbed. You are the sky. Your emotions are the storm. You don't deny the storm. You don't pretend nothing is happening. You simply stop believing that the storm is your entire identity. The next time you feel irritation, jealousy, hurt, or defensiveness rising, pause for 1 second. In that second, ask, what is this really about? That isn't weakness or overthinking. It is the moment you step out of automatic pilot and take back the steering wheel. Emotional reactivity can become habitual. When we repeatedly allow small provocations to hijack our mood, the pattern becomes increasingly automatic. But patterns can change, not because you've become numb, but because the underlying hook is no longer as powerful. This work isn't always comfortable. Looking at your shadow means confronting parts of yourself you may have avoided for years. But the alternative is spending your life being controlled by wounds you refuse to examine. Speaking of deeper transformational work, many people collect valuable ideas but struggle to implement them consistently. That's why we created the Self-Mastery System, a structured toolkit for people who are serious about personal growth. Instead of treating each problem in isolation, the system approaches personal development as an interconnected process. You can find the details in the description below. It's currently available at a special launch price. Now let's return to the central idea. When you genuinely stop reacting automatically, people around you notice. The person who once knew exactly how to get under your skin can no longer find the button. A situation that once filled you with dread begins to lose its teeth. When you stop desperately chasing approval, you become more naturally confident. When you stop treating failure as a catastrophe, you perform with greater freedom. When you stop trying to control every outcome, you can respond more intelligently to whatever actually happens. You are not your emotions. You are the awareness capable of observing them. You are not your automatic reactions. You are the consciousness capable of choosing a response. That shift from being a passenger in your emotional life to taking the driver's seat is the beginning of genuine freedom. And now, here is the practice I promised. It's called the mirror audit, and you can begin tonight. At the end of the day, sit quietly for 5 minutes. Think back over everything that triggered you, every moment of irritation, impatience, jealousy, hurt, or frustration. Don't judge the reactions. Simply list them. Then ask one question about each. What does this reveal about something unresolved inside me? Don't focus first on what the other person did wrong. Ask what fear, wound, insecurity, or unmet need the situation activated within you. Write down whatever comes up honestly. You'll begin to see your shadow more clearly. And once you can see it, you can take responsibility for it. Once you take responsibility for it, it no longer controls you from the darkness. That is how you become psychologically untouchable. Not by feeling nothing, but by understanding yourself so deeply that other people can no longer unconsciously control what you feel. And if this practice resonated with you, watch the next video on your screen. Nobody and nothing will affect you again. It explores Jung's ideas about the shadow self and psychological freedom in even greater depth, and shows you how to apply them when life tests you. Click it now